day, everyone. It is with great pleasure that we return to the St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for stopping right where you are. Now, it's going to really be one of a good stop that you have made, because with the Speakers Bureau, we're here to encourage, inspire, and motivate our community, our children, but also our adults in the community. And we do that through our very own life story. So today we have a very special guest, Miss Terry Shermitt, and she is the Executive Director of the PACE Center for Girls right in Fort Pierce, right here in St. Lucie County. And it is something that we want to do, is to bring people here to the Speakers Bureau that is in this county, that understands the people of this county. So welcome, Ms. Shermitt. We are so happy to have you here today, and we look forward to receiving your life story.
Well, thank you.
So let's get started with what is your responsibilities at the PACE Center for Girls?
Yes, my responsibilities at PACE Center for Girls, I'm an executive director, so I oversee our program. Since we are a center and not a school, so we work on the children, the girls, not just their academics, but also their developmental stages of being a young lady, their physical, emotional well-being, their independent functioning skills, working on self-care, career development, and really helping them understand that they do matter. No matter what has happened in their lives, anything kind of trauma or any kind of situation that has happened to them, that to accept that, but also move on and find in their internal strengths, right? And try to help them grow and develop. And in a really safe environment. So that's really my responsibility as the executive director, to work with my team and to really do its best for each girl, and we individually plan for each one of them at our center.
And that's so important, because what I'm hearing you say, as a center, and it should be, whether it's a school or a center, we have to educate the whole person. You know, that's my philosophy, is educate the whole person. It's not just about academics. Now, we know academics can lead to a lot of great things later on in life, especially in income, a decent income, hopefully. But the whole person, you know, we have an after-school program as well, and that's what we do. We even mannerisms, how to shake somebody's hand, how to look them in the eyes, and our children are much younger. They come to us much younger, but that's the beginning foundation, and then we carry that on to even down to budgeting and finances, how to handle your finances and how to have self-esteem. So I have been around for quite some time in this community, and PACE Center, I've been there several times, even as a speaker. I used to take speakers over there. Oh. Yeah, for the center. So, and I know what you do over there, and we certainly do appreciate PACE Center for Girls. So tell me a little bit more about PACE in the way of how do you, because I know you have older girls, right?
Yes.
What's the age group?
Well, our age range is from 13 to, could be from 13 to 18. Currently is what we have. They could come actually as young as 11.
Those adolescent years.
Yes, yes, which is always could be a challenge. Because again, like you mentioned, academics are important. However, that emotional regulation is really important. Making sure that they're physically and mentally okay so they can learn. Because if they're not having the proper hygiene or emotional support, you know, reading and writing, that's later, right? They can't learn if they're struggling in other areas.
For sure. Yes, so, and when you said that was really important, that those adolescent years when the hormones are going crazy, and, you know, and you think, and I'm going back to my own adolescent years, that helps me work with others.
Absolutely.
You know, where you think that you already know it all, and you've got all the answers, and you're going to be just fine, and yet the brain is still developing, but that child does not realize that.
Correct.
And that's where the adults come in to help them through those very challenging years. Tell us a little bit about your own life and what it was like, any challenges you might have had growing up, and and how you're living now, what's going on now.
Absolutely, I'd love to share. I've kind of, realized my own personal experience that kind of shaped me who I am today. As a youngster at the age of 3, I had actually vision surgery at the age of 3, and they actually overcorrected my vision, my eyesight. So imagine trying to learn to read when I'm now seeing double.
Oh, wow.
So obviously that was real difficult times. I had to learn how to train my eyes to kind of work together so I could actually track and to learn to read and do well educationally. So that was a challenge. And I was very fortunate that through determination and having parents that took me to eye therapy and worked with me, that I was able to overcome that. Those challenges, so to speak. So I understand how sometimes school could be hard for folks, and I was very proud of myself in a sense that I was able to, get to the point where academically I was finally doing well and actually, graduated with honors. But I just remember those challenging times and how scary it was and how embarrassed I was that, trying, the teacher asked you to read out loud. I would be like, I always had a tummy ache. I wanted to go home. I didn't want to be at school at first. And so again, that's why I just feel like my career in education, that's why I've been in it for over 30 years, was so important to me. Because I really wanted to make sure that, we're doing what's right by children and we're helping them be successful and realizing what those challenges were, because I was supposed to actually be assessed through a psychologist at school to see if I needed some additional assistance. And here I was with a stranger saying, okay, here I am to test you. And I looked at him saying, oh no.
Did you?
I'm a young girl, never seen this strange man before in my life. And I said to him, no. I said, my mother already gave me this test.
How old were you?
I was like 6 or 7. I said, no, my mother already gave me this test. I don't need to sit with you. And he actually believed me, which...
Oh boy.
So make a long story short, I was never officially assessed by a school psychologist or had any special classes. So I had to kind of struggle on my own through, work with my family at home and outside vision therapies. But anyways, it's just really important to kind of, understand that through those challenges.
And to have the advocates necessary to help you through those challenges.
Absolutely, exactly.
Because without many of our children, it is a health issue. It is a physical issue.
Right.
And you mentioned severe. Seeing double, but you got kids that just need eyeglasses that maybe are not getting, can't afford it or whatever, but they don't have them.
Right, and think about this. If you were born with a vision issue, you don't know that because you don't know what it's like to see normally, right? Because your brain didn't understand that I lost my vision or something happened. So if you're born with these issues, you don't realize it, or to recognize, or for hearing loss, whatever those disabilities may be.
We just went through graduation, and we went through our alternative graduations just last week, this week, a couple of days ago. And one of the young ladies who graduated has a vision problem. And I happened to have her in my preschool many years ago. She's graduated from high school now. And she would have to look, her face would have to be completely like this. You can imagine what that did because you've been through there.
Right.
And so I had to take extra time with her, and I could tell she was very intelligent, but she couldn't see what she was reading. So eventually, she's a very supportive parent, and family, and they helped get her through, and she walked across the stage.
Oh, is that great?
Yeah, she walked across the stage on time, didn't stay back in it because she had that support. And so where some of our children may not have that support at home, that's where the community steps in. That's where PACE steps in, and all of us, not, PACE is directly working with the adolescent girls, but we all should be doing something to help that child, because children...
Right. The wraparound supports are just so critical.
Wraparound support.
Are just so important, I think. Again, it's not just... Again, the teacher, yes, is very important, but this, the school counselor, having, the after-school program, and having that team together working, putting their arms around that child. And even the family needs support, the parents.
Yes.
How to help them and educate them and tell them how to advocate for their child. Because, I tell people, you buy a car, in your car is an instruction book, right? A manual. You bring home a new baby, I said, new parents, they don't know what to do, how to be quote-unquote parents.
Right.
It's just, so understanding how to help their child grow and develop and be their first teacher and help them with their developmental needs and how to learn how to advocate for them.
We in St. Lucie County, we have a philosophy that we go by, and that's all kids are capable of success, no
Absolutely.
exceptions. And it's the Kids at Hope philosophy, which is a mindset here with the adults to understand what the child needs. And one of those components is having aces in their lives. You know, you got the ace of diamond, you got the ace of hearts, the ace of clubs, and et cetera, and how to, the more aces a kid has in their life, the more chances of success. And that's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Right now. So a little bit more going back into your life.
Yes, absolutely.
Story?
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I was very fortunate. I was able to catch up and go in honors classes and make it through. But I did graduate at 17. So I left home. Okay, and I figured, okay, now I got to make it on my own. I was very fortunate. I did get a scholarship to the state of Florida. I was told by my counselor saying, you know, if you didn't want to go into teaching, you could teach 4 years in the state of Florida. You could apply for this scholarship, and the only thing you have to do is make sure that you keep your GPA up and you teach in the state of Florida for those years that you get those dollars. Okay, I'm going to do that. Fantastic. So I didn't have to worry about paying for school, but of course I don't learn how to survive in the world. I worked multiple jobs, just to keep rent, to pay for food. So again, this hard work and determination, because I was determined I was going to make it. I was determined to see that, knowing how my father struggled. He only had a high school diploma. He was able to open his own business. Sometimes the business was doing great. Sometimes it didn't do so great. And to see him working and struggling, so it instilled in me education is so important. You have to get there and work hard for what you want.
Was Mom in your life as well?
She was. She was an educator, but she was very kind of busy with her own life and her own social group and friends. So unfortunately, I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this on my own, buy family, and out I went. So I look back and I said, you know what, it was difficult, but it was also a great way for me to grow and develop as who I am today. That determination
yes,
to make it.
You said you did that on your own. Sometimes you have to make up your own mind.
Yep.
And many of our children out there are like that, or even adults, where you cannot depend. You want to depend and you want the help, but what if you don't have it?
Right.
What if you don't have the help you need? And I'm sure there's someone out there that said, well, I didn't have it, and we'll be surprised what type of help we really do have that we might not see. And I say that based on my own life story. Yeah, you gotta sometimes just come to a place where you just say, I'm gonna make it.
Right.
I'm going to do well for myself no matter what anyone else is calling me or thinking about me or what they've said. I am my own person and I am going to succeed. And that is motivation. And that is what gets us through, is that right?
Absolutely. So if you have a goal in mind and you know that you want to, reach that and be independent, show people that I did this on my own, and you could do it if you have that ambition, that willpower, those things in life. And I'll never forget as well, I had a dear friend, actually, again, in middle school, and I'll never forget this mother saying to me, she was a woman who had 4 young children, got married young, didn't have post-secondary education. She worked at night in a grocery store, lived in poverty, and she kept on telling me and my friend at the time, said, girls, you have to make sure that you're able to take care of yourself. Don't depend on anybody. Get your education, get on your own 2 feet, so you're not living the way I am. And that stayed with me, resonated for me. And here I was like 11 years old, 12 years old, and remember this story and this family and how this poor woman struggled because she did not get the skills that she needed to be independent financially and to live the life that she wanted to live.
At 16 years old, I had to find my own help. And sometimes what we have to do is reach out and see what's out there that can help us, the other agencies and so forth. And I remember knocking on a door at 16 because I got my high school equivalency. Now I have a doctorate, okay? But I was 16, didn't have that support, but I wanted to graduate. But I was so far behind as a 9th grader, 10th grader, I think it was, that I knew that if I hadn't got the extra help, I would not have made it. So it clicked in me.
Exactly.
And I went and knocked on that door and they accepted me just the way I was. And so that's why I love PACE so much, because I know that's what you guys are doing. They accepted me, brought me in, and I don't think I would have accepted myself in the program, but they accepted me. And I was able to quickly achieve academic status real quick, like within a year, to go and pass a test that's very hard to speak about tests.
Yes.
The state exams that our kids have to go through now is really, you can't give away degrees at all. They have to pass these state exams. Well, as a GED candidate, you know I had to pass exams. And at that time, I believe it was more harder to get a GED than it was a high school diploma. But it was because of the ambition I had. And if I didn't have the motivation, I would have never been able to receive that help, because I would not have reached out. I wouldn't have found that little house that was in our neighborhood, our poverty neighborhood, that I was able to go and knock on the door to say, can you help me get my high school diploma? And so they tested me like I'm sure PACE do. When I came in, I was tested. They saw what level I had stopped learning, and they started me on that level. And now I had the motivation on my own. I had my own place. I was living in my own home, apartment. But because of that, I was able to, second chances. And let's talk about second chances for a minute here.
Yes.
Do you believe in second chances?
I do. I always tell people all the time, I said, no one is perfect, right? We all make mistakes, but the most important thing is learning from them and moving forward, right? And growing from them and figuring out how to do the best you can to recover, right? Because like I said, that's how we learn in life. There's always life lessons, and to me, that's second chances are. So I do believe that 110%, because like I said, no one is perfect. I mean, and I always tell people also, I do believe this, that we have to own up to it and say, I messed up, oops, raise my hand, or I fell on the sword. But I learn from it, and this is how I'm going to move forward, how I'm going to correct it, we're going to fix it, and whatever we could do.
And no doubt there's someone out there that you may be saying, well, it's too late for me.
No.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to receive that there is second chances. And just go ahead and brush yourself off and start where you left off at and go for it.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how far you get doing that.
Right, and I also worked in alternative education, where I did open the first diploma prep program actually in Broward County schools. And I remember some of the stories of some of my students that got in trouble with the court system or were in gangs and other issues. And to see them grow and make it through, and I actually had one young man come back to actually find me and said, thank you, you believed in me, you saw that I had the abilities, and he was a gentleman that was going down the wrong path. I mean, he was court ordered to be in my class, and just to see that again, second chances. He had it, he made it, because he said, I was seeing my friends getting killed, shot. They're drug overdose. This is going back many moons now. This is going back, goodness, probably 30 years, but. Again, to see that he had that opportunity, had the second chance, and took that opportunity.
And someone gave him that opportunity. You're right. Someone gave him that opportunity for that second chance. And we have folks out there that are just like that. They're giving people opportunity for second chance. When I went to that program, I call it program more so than a school, in a little house, when I got my GED and passed my test, the woman that was heading it up was from Montclair State College in New Jersey. This was in New Jersey. She comes to me and she says, we have a full scholarship we want to give you. We see the potential that you have in you, but we cannot, and we're going back some years, right? We cannot give you house and rooming. We can't, you have to pay for your own housing and books. But we'll give you the tuition. Well, at that time, I was in a state where I could not afford to pay for books. I was on my own at 16, okay? And I had a little job, and that's a whole nother story. But I could not afford what I had to do. And in my mind, I had to work. But years later, as the years rolled on, I remembered when I went back to school, to college. I had 3 children already and was married. But I remembered what this woman said to me when I was 16 years old. And that one thing that she said to me, Carrie, and that's what you're saying, carried me through years until I was ready to say, I'm going to step out and do it. So that, you know, no matter how little that you think you are doing, any little thing that you do can make a tremendous difference in someone's life.
Absolutely.
So tell me, is there anyone that you can say, because this woman had a tremendous impact on my life, okay? She doesn't even really remember me, I'm
Right.
sure, right? But I never forgot her. Can you name a person who's had a tremendous impact on you as a leader?
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting.
Someone who maybe mentored you?
Yeah,
or
it's funny.
said-
Actually, on my way here,
Teacher.
I was actually texting my mentor, right? Known each other for over 30 years. This this woman, when I was actually started that diploma prep program, I was still finishing my degree, but I was able to work in this school as a substitute that I ended up staying there for years in this school.
Was this your bachelor's degree, your master's?
It's
You
actually
say
my
was
bachelor's
working
degree.
When you were working on your degree.
Yeah, that's where I
okay.
finished my degree. And she had a grant called TLC, Teaching, Learning, and Coaching Model. And she said, I'd love for you to be part of my grant. Okay, sure, you're asking me, I'll be anything to learn. And this was, again, a long time opportunity. I really got to know her, learned her life stories too, of how she went from being a special education teacher, ESC specialist, to this district administrator, and just getting to know her as a person, seeing her as a single mom, how she managed through all these, you know, obstacles personally and professionally, and just always been there as a, you know, mentor, friend. We used to have breakfast, you know, 7 o'clock every, you know, once a month at 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, on a Saturday. But it's great to have those folks that are just true professionals, true friends that you kind of brainstorm with, right? You know, how are things going? Let's talk about life. Let's talk about, you know, our children, or whatever's happening, you know. And like I said, here we are, you know, 30-something years old, you know, later. She actually retired the same year my mother did, ironically. They were in the same meeting to learn about their benefits and whatnot, ironically. But again, till this day, we still stay in contact. So it's nice to have those mentors that you look up to and have that relationship.
No man's an island.
Absolutely.
And you can't do it alone, even
No.
if you think you're doing it alone and you think I pulled my own self up with my own back. Someone helped you.
Absolutely.
And we should pay it forward.
I do believe in that. And that's, as a leader, I always feel that way. I figure I always want to get out to coach and teach others that I work with or work for in my team to try to help them learn and build their skills and to move up the ranks, so to speak, if that's what they want.
Right,
I mean, I never want to hold anybody down. I think we all have an opportunity to grow and develop. I don't care who we are, what age we are, what title we have.
Do you remember any teachers that might have impacted your life? And, you know, I mentioned one lady who said one thing to me, you know, we want to offer you a scholarship, you know, and even though I turned it down at the time, simply because she said you have what it takes, it made a difference. Can you think of anyone like that?
I actually share that I had an English teacher. He was a great gentleman, very informative, you know, really liked to collaborate. We'd read books and we'd talk and write papers and whatever. And he'd always say to me, he goes, you're gonna do great things, but at your own pace. He said, you kind of did your own thing in school.
Pace sent at your own pace.
Yeah,
Okay.
you love that? But anyways, yeah, he always would say to me, he goes, you know, even then when we'd be in their class and I'd be very talkative and, you know, as girls do, right? And said to me, he goes, you know, instead of you talking to your friends, why don't you just, you know, tell the class about whatever we were working on. So I was kind of like his teacher assistant in a sense, because, you know, it was just my personality, I guess, in school.
So he noticed
yes,
what to use to help you through that.
Yes, and also to help him, so I wasn't driving him crazy being in his
That's true,
classroom,
too.
being disruptive. You know, let me just help you
right.
know, get through the lesson with her
Yeah.
assisting me. But he definitely was a great gentleman who really, you know, encouraged me to continue. But also I found it was interesting, this lesson he always taught me as well, when I would write papers. He said, if you ever stop thinking, stop writing, because I'd go on and on and on. He was like, if, you know, just get to the point. Okay, gotcha.
So, next question for you is how have you been able to get through the worst times of your life? Because we all have a story, we all have those challenges. How do you get through them?
Yeah, you know, I had a dear friend who would always say this to me. It says, you know, this too shall pass, right? Oh, things always have a way of working their way out. And I always would remember that when I was feeling overwhelmed or something awful is going on or happening, realizing, okay, you know, a month from now or a year from now, is it how is this affecting me? And it's just keeping that in mind is really important. And then also, for me, physically.
So knowing that, before you go to the also, knowing that you're in something now.
Yes.
It could be the worst of times, but just knowing that you're going to go through it. It's not going to always be
there.
There is going to be a lighter day, especially if you decide to make the right choices in your thinking pattern even. That, yeah, this too shall pass. I don't care how bad it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. Growing up as a child, some of the things that we went through as a family.
And things that you can't control.
Yeah, you can't control it.
And that's something too to learn. You know, some things you can and some things you can't, and how to go through that, knowing that, again, this too shall pass.
And what's the other thing?
And the other thing also I learned, again, taking care of yourself, right? You know, stressful situation, you know, some people, you know, like to sew or knit, some people like to cook, some people like to go for walks. Like I physically, you know, I like to exercise. That's my own, you know, self-care. And I think that's important. You have to really know to take care of yourself, your mind,
even
body,
and spirit. Even if you don't like to exercise, you do it anyway because you know you got to take care of yourself.
Your body,
that's me on this side.
Well, I tell people all the time, I said, you only get one body, one physical body in life. You know, God gives you
one time
you don't get
to
another
live
one
on this earth.
Right.
Very good. It's been a pleasure talking with you. We're getting ready to run out of time, but you know, is there a book or something someone said to you that changed your life, your mindset? And I think you kind of hint toward that with someone when they were talking to you, and you just carried it on. Re-emphasize that for us.
Well, again, is that, you know, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah,
I always tell people, again, this too shall pass, and you just have to persevere, you know, and be true to yourself. You know, and also if you need help, ask for it, right? You know, wrap your arms around others, and just knowing that, you know, there's a support system out there. And just really, you know, again, take care of yourself, but also take care of others as well. And I always tell people that oxygen mask is so important. So put that on yourself, and then you can help others. And again, and you know, and follow through on what your dreams are.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and that's so true. Because if you don't have a will, there is no way. Just the opposite. So you gotta be willing and be wanting what you want, and then the way will open up. It opens up. Yeah. So appreciate again what you are doing with the PACE Center for Girls. And you're a newbie, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I relocated up to this area, so I've only been at PACE for 2 months, but I love it. I feel like I've gone full circle in my career. So it's my home. I'm back home again.
We certainly look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And anytime you'd like me to come, I'll be willing to come at least one time.
Absolutely.
While up under your care, PACE, and share my story with the girls.
That would be fabulous,
because we give back. And we certainly appreciate your willingness to take out of your busy schedule to come to St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau and share your life story. Thank you again, and hopefully
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Talk with you again
sometime.
All right,
you have a great day. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Terry.